And it's recording, right? Yeah, it's recording.
Okay, go ahead and call the meeting to order. Would all who wish join me in the pledge of allegiance? Let's do the same sort. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would make a motion to adjust the agenda by adding item 8.A.I.2, music band teacher position, 1-year position. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Go ahead and vote. Kevin.
Aye.
I don't see Noah yet. I know he was going to run a little late. Jake.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Also vote aye, carries 4-0. Make a motion to approve the minutes for June 24th and July 18th as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Go ahead and vote. Kevin?
Aye.
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Also vote aye, carries 4-0. The floor is open for public comment.
Warrants.
Oh, sorry, warrants. Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Make motion to approve warrants 2, 26C, payroll 2, capital improvement 22. Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? Go ahead and vote. Kevin?
Aye.
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Also vote aye, carries 4-0. Now the floor is open for public comment. Would anybody like to make public comment?
You any more?
Not seeing any public comment. We'll go ahead and move on to acknowledgements. Kevin?
None at this time, thank you.
Dave?
No, thank you.
I would just acknowledge the building staff, custodial staff, facility staff, and the administrators have all already been quite busy getting the school year ready. So thank you. Mark?
Nothing for you, thank you.
Meredith?
Yeah, I would just add to what Brian said and add in our administrative assistants, our technology staff, in addition to the groups you mentioned, have been working hard to make sure school is ready to go on August 25th when staff arrive and August 27th when half of us students arrive. So we appreciate their efforts. We also recently finished summer school and want to just thank all the staff who made that happen. That's provides really meaningful engagement for a lot of students, and we have growing participation in that program. So we want to acknowledge and thank those staff members for their contributions. Also, we just have a lot of staff in PD. I was down in Waterville this afternoon and we had staff down there for, a 2-day summit. We have staff involved in PD all summer and curriculum projects. So I appreciate folks' engagement to grow and continue to learn to bring new things back to our district. And finally, I want to acknowledge stakeholders who've been involved in hiring committees this summer and during the hiring season. We've had several going throughout the summer, and just appreciate those individuals' contributions. It's an important part of the process, and are lucky to have folks who are willing to give up summer time to come in and do that, both staff, but also parents, students, board members, etc.
Great, thank you. Go ahead and move on to principal reports. Start with Carrie.
So good evening. I feel like the ASA board report this month is kind of light, but it's been kind of a light summer at ASA so far. And shout outs, just as you've heard, to the summer school staff that wrapped up last week. Summer Stars always has a fun theme for our students. Last year it was focused on the post office. This year it was actually focused on insects, and they were able to collect some monarch butterfly chrysalis and watch them go through that process. So that was pretty neat to go in and see, and the kids were really excited to see that happening. So that was some excitement. As far as staffing goes, at ASA we haven't had a lot of changes this summer. We're excited, as you know, have Mary Kate Knowles in the new 3 and 4-year-old program. And we're still in the process of looking to backfill her position. And Placement letters, which is always a hot topic this time of year, went out in the mail today, so families should be receiving those sometime this week. I know that everyone is anxious to be reading those. And as far as the building goes, the grades 1-2 wing with the renovations and Tim O's room and Mrs. McGill's room are looking like they're actually almost done. I just did a quick walkthrough before coming up. Floors are done, paint's done, ceilings are almost completely done. So that's really looking really, really good down in that area. I feel like there was one. That's maybe one. Oh, yes. How could I forget? Our literacy materials are getting purchased of the year. Those came in actually this week. I saw the boxes in the hallway. So Matt will be unpacking those soon. And I know that Susan and the teachers, some of them are anxious to get their hands on them for some adults. So I'm busy, but I'll be busy.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments? Go ahead and move on, Richard.
Good evening, everyone. Lots going on here at the middle school over the summer, and as we start thinking about fall and getting ready for to welcome students and communicate with parents, we have some regular school communications that we're working on this week, and that's going to be going out to parents before the end of the week. And some of the things that we're going to be talking about as we kick off the school year will be emergency response planning, fall NWEA testing coming up. The window for that is to begin September 15th. I think we'll it runs through October, but that's something to start thinking about already, and planning for our parent conferences in later in the fall. And then of course supervision and evaluation, and we'll have some updates for the board later in August on that front, but we'll have our meetings with teachers early in the fall as well to talk about supervision and evaluation planning for the year. And so one couple of things that we want to talk about with students when they come back is, of course, managing student behavior and maintaining a positive school culture is a priority. And so we're continuing to use what we call our BT form, our behavior tracking form, to monitor and keep track of challenging behaviors. And that's a great document because it provides a baseline, if you will, for having discussions with parents and our PBIS team. So we got that ready for the coming school year. And we're looking forward to continuing on with our expectation that student cell phones remain in lockers during the school day. And so we have another form for keeping track of that. And we're going to be asking parents and community members for their continued support. We're very pleased with the support we received last year with that expectation. And our hope is that we continue on with that this year. We like to welcome Brian White and Christy West as new staff to OMS, and Christy is going to be part of her role will be coordinating our Title I literacy services. We've been working with Student Smith to address some concerns that we've had around student achievement and growth, and as part of our Tier 2 plan, we're going to get Title I literacy services up and running this fall and under Christy's leadership. So I'm looking forward to that, and that should be a nice enhancement to student opportunities. And our OMS schedule that we've been working so hard on over the last year, we began with the PSUG conference in last November, learning about how to revamp the schedule, and that's also going to help us address some concerns in with student growth and achievement, and get things in line there. And I think we're gonna add rotating blocks of 60 minutes and 45 minutes. So we'll have some longer instructional blocks in ELA and mathematics. That'll be every day. And we're going to introduce 60-minute blocks for science and social studies. So be some longer learning chunks, and that will happen at 7th and 8th grade. 6th graders will follow a more traditional 45-minute schedule throughout the school day. So we're looking forward to getting that in place next year. Or I mean, this year in the fall. The building is looking up, and floor is looking, they're getting waxed. Building's looking clean, and a lot of wiring going on. So we're gonna have some nice upgrades, and the building will be looking good in the fall. And that's PVML. We have our summer league officials meeting on next week or week after next, sorry, and we've already begun planning, and but we'll finalize schedules and things for fall to kick off our sports season. And that's it for tonight.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments? Go ahead and move up to the high school. Sam?
Hi, everybody. I just want to echo what people have already said, but certainly our summer school program was an amazing success. Some of the largest numbers we've seen yet. And just the activities and the relationship building, just the continuation of being at school and having that positive space and interactions was just amazing to see throughout the entire summer. So thank you to everybody who did that. And alongside that, thank you to Heidi and Heather Holmes, who ran a geometry class yet again and had 8 students, 2 of which told me at the end that they didn't think they were going to make it, but they did, and they're proud that they did. So they were able to earn some math credits, and which will help them in their goals to either accomplish their graduation in itself or to go to attend UTC or take other classes and I also want to do a huge thanks to our athletic programs that run throughout the summer. I know they're kind of like, alongside what we do, but it's a really great opportunity for the kids to stay connected, to stay active, to see each other, and to also bring new incoming ninth graders into that process early on. Keep those relationships with the coaches, and then just have a lot of fun. So thank you to everybody who worked hard to make those opportunities visit our students as well. I too am preparing the packages to go out to the families this week. Ours includes a ton of information that's already been stated, as well as just reminders about how to put paperwork in our school. And for us, we have had a lot of hires, and some will be spoken about this evening. So just introducing them to the staff and to the school community students is important. As well as a little bit more information on the cell phone policy, which we'll discuss later, as well as the watershed program, the developments that happened over the summer with that. So our packet was thicker than this year, which I think is good, because it's hopefully going to offer some communication and information to our families. Just as for people who would like to know, the fall sports information night is on Sunday the 17th, and the OHS co-curricular arts information night is on Thursday, August 28th. So those are both opportunities for students and families who want to participate. The fall sports is more obviously geared towards the fall sports. The co-curricular arts is kind of all encompassing of the whole year. So students and families have any questions about any of the activities that we want throughout the year, that's a good evening for them to attend and be able to get their questions answered and meet some of the adults that are involved. As I said, briefly, watershed program, the group, which primarily is Jeff Owen, Sean Goodall, Eric Dixon, David Miller, Susan Smith, have really been working hard this summer to prepare for the watershed program, as well as with some support from school counselors and others to get the logistics on the ground, functional and ready to go. We're really excited for the program and what this is going to offer our students. And really excited to see how this brings them together as a community, and also offers that hands-on to this program. So really excited about that. As Meredith had said, many professional development efforts have been happening. Particularly for Meredith and Susan all went to Seattle to participate in a course that really looked into math and how the different variety of ways of math can be taught. Happened to also be where Roz O'Reilly also attended, was the student advisor project. So that's a pretty cool opportunity for her. And then just earlier, well, today actually, David Miller and Will Lehan are going to become educational trip leaders for their work that they'll be doing with the watershed program. So we're really excited for that, and to be able to have many adults on that to help students in those learning environments. As others have said to you, amazing job by Derek Sinclair and the custodial staff. Like, it is a lot going on. Our bathrooms are coming together. There is a lot of wiring happening. There's a lot of, like, obviously the cleaning of the rooms and spaces. But it's a lot of work, and I've had the privilege of really being able to watch all these people working together and working around each other and making it all happen. So huge thanks to everybody that's involved in it. And we too, as Richard mentioned, we're really looking as Officer Patterson pointed safety updates at the high school. Really having listened to our students and listened to the staff and the community overall as to how different ways in which we can ensure that the school is a safe school. So those are things like the safety sensors that we'll be putting in, the bathroom upgrades, changes and edits to the emergency response plan. So I'm really proud of that work, and I appreciate everyone who's been a part of that to try to create that environment. And then the as a review, we got our AP exam scores over the summer or in the summer. This year we had a total of 95 students take 167 exams. And more details about student performance will be coming, and I'll be working with our individual staff to review those and see how, you know, we working towards helping even more students on the scores that they're looking for. But we have held strong to last year's percentage of 3 or above for students. And so I know the graph's a little small there, but hopefully that can help you guys get a visual. And we also saw a rebound in the number of students taking at least one AP exam, which was good because years previous to that population was saying. So 29% of high school students took at least one AP exam. And 89% of the students that scored a 3 on at least one AP exam illustrates the potential that we continue to have with the exams. So we're really proud of that, proud of the kids. I think they were very vocal this year about how much they were studying, and they took advantage of the opportunities to prepare for them with staff, the weekends and the evenings. And you could really tell there was a focus on really trying to do the best that we could on the exam. So congratulations to the students and the staff.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, superintendent report.
We have, just want to give a hiring update. We have a couple of positions we're bringing forward tonight. In terms of what's remaining, we have the special education teacher opening that Carrie mentioned that was because of that lateral transfer that happened. We do need a board member for that committee. It's Asa Special Ed, and Lisa is on vacation this week, so I'm assuming that might happen next week. If anyone wants to raise their hand.
I'll do it. I can do it unless anybody else wants to.
I'm guessing
I'm out of town, go for it.
yeah, it is all you. So I'll let Lisa know, and Rachel's here and she knows. So thank you. We also have several ed tech openings, couple at least at special ed, and one that the middle school's going to be interviewing for their new Title I literacy ed tech that we're adding there. And I know Ben has a position in food service that we need to fill. So folks who are interested, please submit your application. I got a retirement notice recently. KCE, the middle school special education teacher, has informed us of plans to retire in early October. Just wish to thank Casey for her service to the district. She's been with us for 14 years, 8 as an ed tech and 6 as a teacher. We have new employee orientation coming up on August 21st. And right now, it looks like we'll have about 11 employees who were new since we held orientation last year. And then around the same number of new hires this summer, although I think that'll grow a little if we fill these other positions. Yeah, that's all around hiring. One other thing before I talk about facilities, you may have read in the news, we talked in late June and shared with you that our Title II and IV money was being held up. That has been now approved to be distributed, and I just got an email before the meeting started from the commissioner to say they've actually received the money now, which that was, the next critical thing to happen. And they are busy calculating, and we should get our allocation amounts tomorrow. So that's all really good news, because that would have really caused us to have to go into our unassigned, our contingencies, because there are things there that we really rely on. So that's good news that those are coming. That we estimate it'll be around 45,000, but you know, we'll see when they allocate what's been received. I wanted to give an update on facilities, and Jason can also weigh in on a portion of these that involve TAC Brown. But Carrie and Sam mentioned some of the projects. There's been a big project down in the grade 1-2 wing at ASA. So those are about 2 weeks away from being complete, according to what Derek sent Friday. And so, you know, in each room they did what was needed, but in general it was floors, ceilings. We had to redo some fire strobes and such, and also needed to complete the wall in one room that had always been a partition wall that wasn't always all the way to the ceiling. We added a safe space room for our special education room. That was a better spot for students who needed a safe space to regulate. There's been some exterior painting happening at ACE that's complete. At OMS, the interior classroom painting, I think there's one more classroom to complete this week. And then at OHS, there's the big bathroom project that Sam mentioned across from the cafe. And that one, they're working on not only having the floor to almost ceiling or floor to ceiling stalls that have enhanced privacy, but adding the safety sensors in. We also had to do quite a bit of ventilation work in there that was needing to be done anyway, but really had to be redone now that we're kind of adding individual stalls. And those will have no doors on the exterior, just to help with monitoring. So because all the privacy that's added, we felt comfortable doing an open door concept there. In addition, the UTC space in the red garage is underway, and they're doing drywall this week on the ceiling, and we'll be on to the sprinklers that had to be installed after that. The soccer light project is complete, and the first use will be late August. They're having a kind of a celebration, you know, recognition night, and they're going to have an alumni soccer game just to kind of commemorate and recognize the project, which I think is a great idea. The tennis court resurfacing is supposed to happen next week. The panel at the football field that needed to be electrical panel is, I think, pending, maybe this week getting done. The softball dugots, they've been demoed, and the order should come in this week for construction to begin. The paving of Goodrich Drive in Asa is supposed to happen this month. We keep getting bumped, and the weather's really good, so I'm not sure. Maybe it's just still accumulated backlog from May and June. There's a sinkhole in the back parking lot that actually happened. It's happened this spring, and Derek is waiting on a quote to get that filled. It's just been described by phones. It's really just a washout underneath, and the concrete failed. The COPS grant work is the other big project that's happening, and a lot is happening. So Richard or someone mentioned the cabling. I think everyone might have mentioned the cabling happening. So that's an important part of, the readiness for the PA project and the expansion of the access controls and video cameras. And so is that done, Jason?
I would say it's approaching being completed.
Yeah.
It's nearly done. these two buildings.
Yeah.
And they've not finished these, a couple of days when they have enough room to do that, because crews are spread out, we're on patients and sometimes.
Yeah.
That's wiring better. So they're just kind of getting ready for the other product site from the start installing.
So once that's done, they'll start working on the access controls expansion where we're adding new access controls to more doors. That is the swipe and we can lock it at a push of a button access controls. And also new doors. When you came into the library, you saw a door leaning, maybe you didn't notice, but there's a door leaning against the wall in that little vestibule. And so we're getting a lot of new doors. That one is sorely needed. So I was so excited to see that door because that particular door is quite old and difficult. The gym doors are that way. ASA has a number of doors that are getting redone. So that's a big part of the project that will happen this month. The interior rekey is almost complete, I think. So every interior door in the building is being rekeyed and will be on kind of our new master system that we have in our new areas. So it's a much better, more controlled key system. And Derek will have some work to do to kind of get new keys out this fall to folks so they can access the areas they need. The other big project is the PA system that is also connected to the emergency response badges. And so I brought it, we got a sample badge. I'll just hold it up here. The good news and bad news. The good news is it's going to be great when it gets done. The bad news is there's a back order on some critical piece. It's like white noise to me, but an important piece that's part of the PA system.
Basically, the amplifiers that drive speaker system is back ordered to box.
Yeah, so
I
that
didn't find that out until they walked through and said, oh yeah, by the way.
right.
So,
And these don't work without the new PA system. They're integrated. But I think because the cabling's all done and the PA, like the other parts of the PA are being installed, it's the amplifier itself that we're waiting on. But we are going to have some training for staff on these. We've updated our emergency response plan, which we'll see at our next meeting, with procedures around the use. So the way this works is, staff can put their badge in this side. There are 2 buttons on the side that they can use for certain responses that we've given directions about. Use these for these circumstances. And then there's one on the back that this one will actually be the one that we can hold it for a certain amount of time. It will initiate a lockdown and call 911. So these will be, every staff member will be wearing them at all times. And so we're really excited. I know it keeps, I'm moving, so you can't see it. We're really excited about this and the increased response capability it provides us as a school. They're also going to be in, if we initiate a lockdown, either from these or from the office, there are messages we can have go over any screen that's on our Wi-Fi to give directions. And we can also pre-record messages that will go out over the PA to be customized to what we want. So it has a lot of really nice capabilities for us to be able to, have responses ready for a lot of different scenarios. And so, that project not being done at the start of school was disappointing, but, I anticipate that it will be going by sometime in September.
that's my hope.
Yeah. The only other thing I haven't mentioned is the safety sensors in the bathrooms. They've been working on some protocols for those and how alerts on the safety system would be responded to, both in a, response, but also potential disciplinary action, if it's picking up vape, for example. And so they've been doing their work to be prepared for that, Sam and Richard and the team. the high school will have, more than the middle school, but the middle school will have some. So we have to scale back our purchase a little bit, fit it in the budget, but this is a nice way to dip our toe in and get started with it and see how it works. I think. We're still actively looking for a wheelchair accessible van. The challenge is we're trying to get a van that can accommodate 2 chairs at a time, but also have some seating. So we're kind of looking for a more unique van. So we're working with a vendor to try to find one that doesn't have as many miles as the ones that have been presented to us so far. I think that's it. There's a lot happening right now for facilities. And so, and you know, and there are just a variety of small things too that I haven't mentioned that are going on. So did I miss anything, Jason, admin team? Any questions about any of that?
That's a long list. I mean, I suppose technically when we were doing the big construction project, it was more people and dollars, but in terms of number of projects to stay on top of, that's easily the longest I've seen in the, whatever it is, 11 years I've been here, so.
Right, it's because we're layering COPS work this summer with our normal $500,000 worth of capital improvements. So a lot happening, so Derek's.
Yeah, kudos to Derek and Jason for staying on top of it all, and a very high fraction finishing on schedule, which is not a given either, so thank you. In theory, we're not there yet, knock on wood, but, yeah.
Actually, do have one question. How long is the training for faculty and staff to learn how to use those badge things? Is it like hours, or is the fact that, no, so it's less than?
Yeah, I mean, we're really keeping it simple. You can do more variations with this, but to start with, we just felt like we need to keep it pretty simple. So we're going to give some initial information when we start school, but we're gonna have to follow up because they won't be using them yet. So, I mean, it's very simple, really. I think the key is for people not to be afraid to use them if they need them. And for people to kind of, because the lines are a little gray about, especially the side push that's not the call 911 push. We're trying to give some, you know, parameters about what constitutes using this versus picking up the phone and just calling the office. So that will be, you know, something that will probably be continued to be refined to give guidance around that as things come up that maybe we haven't anticipated. But it's really simple to use.
So the fact that they're gonna be a little bit late isn't gonna prevent them from being used until like we have the PD day or something.
Oh, no, no. Very simple.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I'll pass it around so you can see it. And you can push buttons. It's not connected to anything.
Did you have more in your report, Mary?
Yeah, that's all.
That's it. Okay. Go ahead and move on to the first discussion item, which is an update on the cell phone implementation.
So we've made a lot of progress, this summer. We've just working on, you know, first ensuring that people are aware of the bell to bell. And we're able to get some of the, you know, the FAQ questions that we discussed last year with the board and some of the parameters and expectations outlined for them. So the communications to students, staff, and to community members and parents and family members were sent out last week. It included that one, they could email, call, stop by, ask questions. So I have had a few people that have set up some meetings to meet with me and ask some questions, more specifically in regards to their students. But I've also just had a lot of emails where, you know, just great excitement and looking forward to it. And I've had some students who are like, I don't know if I like this, but whatever, Runco kind of things. So it's been an interesting, like, myriad of emails to be fair. But then in that email too, it informed the staff that on the afternoon of the 25th, a good portion of the discussion will be about the cell phone bell to bell and what the procedures and protocols look like, what the expectation is of them, a little bit more of some of the logistics that maybe weren't outlined in that letter and also maybe aren't available in the FAQ that I have posted for staff to see in the classroom. And as I'm getting some feedback about like certain ways in which things are worded that might be more clear, there will be future, not changes to the action steps and protocols necessarily, but possibly just how the wording is to make it sure that everyone's understanding what we intend and want them to understand. So that'll be on the evening or the afternoon, I'm sorry, the 25th. And then on the evening of the 25th, we're inviting the students and families to come to the OPAC, and meet with me and, my future AP, to talk through, some of the logistics of it, answer some of their questions. And then invite them to, if that setting is not maybe the place to have a conversation, to set up something with us to have that conversation. Additionally, I put together a implementation onboarding team with Yonder. So I attended a webinar, where we did kind of walk through and offer us a lot of resources to help ensure that our onboarding is as prepared as possible. And then that team, we all got together, which constitutes pretty much a lot of the main office staff, including the SRO, including the athletic director, the school counseling staff, my main office staff, just so that we are prepared, all of us in our own roles and ways in which to support success of this onboarding of the cell phone bell to bell. And that was a really good opportunity for us for them to even ask further questions and really help me to understand and see where more communication and understanding needed to occur. And then after our meeting, the group met went for a one-on-one with Yonder, with our person Megan, who will be a resource for us all year. And that too, she offered some opinions and advice about how we were thinking and things to think about as far as, you know, for example, how to or where to put the magnetic bases that the kids can utilize when they come into our school. And following that, the Yonder pouches were delivered and they arrived last week. So Emma Cutler is my new administrative assistant. She and I have worked, numbering all the pouches, me figuring out and putting in Power School and advisory documents as to which pouch goes to who. But the next steps continue to be, you know, creating a slideshow to utilize at the presentations with staff and students and families. Continues to be creating a pamphlet and other things like just more like visually pleasing, I guess, but informative ways in which people can look versus looking at a long email. And then just regularly meeting with anyone who wants to talk about their specific kid or their specific situation to see how I can best meet their needs and hopefully alleviate any of the concerns that they may have in regards to this process for us. The one change that did occur since you guys talked to us in June is instead of turning the cell phones off, we're asking students to put the cell phones on airplane mode. And that allows parents to still see where their child is. So that we thought would help a lot with some parents being concerned that what if my kid left the building or what if my kid, emergency happened or what have you. So as long as the kid has a cell phone with them in their bags and it's on airplane mode, the parent can still very easily see where their child is. And we thought, that would help, with some of our students too, where one parent was like, my son tends to elope. And I said, yeah, that does happen. And so I think when I answered that to her, she felt very pleased by that. So there's one change we made since the last time we spoke. But I look forward to getting together with my future AP as well as my behavior support ed tech and office staff to really work out the final details of how is this going to look for day one. How are we going to make it happen so that kids can move freely about the building and get their needs met and unlock and it won't add any undue stress or possible missing of buses, for example, at the end of the day. So I look forward to some time with them.
Great, thank you. So far the feedback I've been getting has been more positive than I might have thought, from surveys and things, so I think that's great. And I think it's also a credit to the rollout process, which I think was going extremely well planned and smooth, but I do have two kind of special case questions. One of them I'm kind of living at the moment with a multi-language learner. Is there any plan about what kind of tool they're gonna have access to?
Yeah, so I would invite individuals, students and their families to meet with me, but I've also put out an email to Eric Blacksmith, Lisa Sear, and Karen Martin to talk with them and ask them if there's a way that even before the school year starts, we can try to meet the needs of those students, you know, whether it's for a health need or for a need. But I've also, a couple of those families have reached out and I said, sure, come meet with me. And if, you know, there's something I can work on even previous to meeting with those individuals, especially since Eric and Karen and me not see them until the 25th. But, you know, whatever I can do on the outset of it, I will for students and with those, faculty members. So.
Yeah, I just know as somebody who spent 4 months in a country where I didn't speak the language, that something like Google Translate's a game changer in terms of being able to actually be present and participating.
And what we were,
there
what
doesn't
are our
have to be on a
thoughts?
phone, right? If
Yeah.
you got a computer, but
Yeah, and one of our thoughts, Brian, that is, we learned in the one-on-one session. That they have pouches that are Velcro, that they primarily, you know, suggest to utilize for students with diabetes. But our team has thought about like, well, maybe that would be appropriate too for some of those learners, so that they too had a pouch, so it didn't stand out that they didn't have a pouch, because we are trying to acknowledge that we want students to feel and be, you know, similar to their peers, but still get their needs met. And so, I reached out to Yonder and said, is there a possibility I could get more Velcro pouches if need be? And they said, absolutely. They, like I said, usually only use it for students with diabetes, or seizure disorders, but I feel like if we can expand that to meet students.
yeah, and like I say, that what they can access on their laptops is sufficient too.
Yep.
But yeah, because I certainly support the general principle of, you know, as few and as little as possible. The other one, I guess, is sort of a board or a district interest, but any sort of thoughts about metrics we're going to try and capture to see how this is actually impacting students?
Yeah, so Megan at the Yonder group actually had this really great Google like kind of form or survey to give students. And I'm waiting till the team gets here next week or the week after to really look to see how we want to tweak that or not. As well as, you know, I'm just interested to see if some of the other, you know, data points like behavior reductions or, you know, bullying reductions or attendance increases or, you know, just students freaking out because they lost their phone. You know, if certain things might just also be able to lend us to the idea that this is working in our favor in the way we.
Great. Any other questions or comments?
Question I got, in reading through the documents, am I correct in saying that there's, these magnetic unlock devices, one in the front door, one in the back door, and a couple outside around school?
So yes, and so what I actually ordered more magnet stations than they're used to.
Okay.
Because what I'm hoping is to, one, there'll be some outside the doors, which will be on the 2 vestibules out by the OPAC gym and then also by the nurse's station. So if the student needs to leave out that door, which often happens when someone isn't feeling well or what have you, they can unlock it there too. But then we also are gonna have some mobile ones that are gonna go in our go bags and be available in the main offices and one also at central office. And we had twice as many. They're like little discs, well, they're not little, they're like about this big, and some schools put them on carts, some schools put them on pieces of wood. I don't know, and they bring them out to the lobby. We are gonna have 2 out in the back to go out to the back vestibule, and we're gonna have 2 of us in the middle of the lobby. I just have to figure out who and how. So there'll be a lot of ways in which kids can throughout the day, when they need to stop by the office or after school, be able to access the packets.
I guess the thing I'm thinking of is, do we envision like a log jam or students at the end of the day?
Our hope is no, because we have so many students that would go out, because we're gonna unlock the ones outside at 2 o'clock. And so students could just leave and go to practice and walk later, they can leave on their way to practice, or they can use the 4 of us that will all be having those stations like spread out throughout the building.
Yeah.
To be able to unlock, so we're hoping that between the number that go out to their cars, or the many that go to a practice or a game, or the many that go, that it won't be. So we're trying to plan to best not have that happen, but until we live it, we really don't know. But I feel confident that we're trying to provide more opportunity, even than Yonder would suggest, versus less, to try to make that not be a problem for our students.
Great, thanks.
Anything else? Okay, great, thanks.
Noah, yes.
Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah, just this is great. Really great to see all this work. I support it fully. I just had a minor technical question about one of your comments, and maybe you've looked at this, but I thought that with airplane mode, location services don't work, and you might need to have it in silence mode or something else. I just want to make sure that goes smoothly and you
I'm
check
going on
that
the
out,
fact
but
that Yonder recommended airplane mode because families and they couldn't locate their children. But to be fair, I just took their word for it, so I can test that out and see. I could even do it with
yeah,
myself, my own
let's
phone. But they
yeah,
recommended that
just make
they.
sure you roll it out. Yeah.
Yeah, Google says,
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
services are not turned off in airplane mode.
Yeah. And that was their
Uh,
recommendation for working with so many other schools that they found it just really helped families, so.
They're connecting through Wi-Fi though.
That's
instead
interesting.
of
My,
like-
my Google says the opposite, so we have different AI bots. I don't know.
Interesting. I'll look into that. Thank you for
Yeah.
making me aware.
Either way, I trust you. Just make sure yeah, thanks.
There may be some settings to figure out, like I know you can turn on airplane mode and then you have to turn on Wi-Fi after you turn on airplane mode.
Yeah, because it would need to be connected to something.
Yeah,
Okay.
And it may depend what they're using, like if it's Find My Phone or which service they're using too. So yeah.
yeah. Anything else? All right, on to middle school instruction update. Thank you, Sam. Lots
Yeah.
of work.
Can we throw sad music though?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I shared,
Google.
a lot of information in the folder in the, board drive for the meeting. But the short of it is there are 95 schools on the list that applied, this year for, major school construction. And we landed at number 41 on this list, which was a disappointing, place for us. We, had hoped for higher. We did get, they send us the ratings. I provided that to you. Derek and I, took advantage of their offer to come down to Augusta and meet with the team who did the ratings, and we did that, last week. And it was helpful to learn more about the process, and we, asked questions and got those questions answered. I think the short of it is that one thing I learned is this is it's more of a comparative rating process. There's not a rubric that says, it's not criterion based as much as it's what's the worst thing they're seeing and what's the best thing they're seeing. And they kind of scale things by that metric for most of the ratings. And I think there's some things about our situation that help us with this. And I think there's some aspects of our circumstance in the middle school that hurt us with these ratings. I think that, the age of the building clearly helps us. There's some, particular aspects of it. They're in worse shape than others. But there are also some elements that aren't as bad as they could be. I think I know one thing that they talked about is our square footage in the building is working against us, because we do have a lot of square footage in that building, and a lot of it's in a massive gym. But square footage is square footage according to how they calculate that. The way they calculated enrollment was not favorable to us either. Really, there's nothing we can do about that, but I did lodge kind of my, I guess complaint would be the word, or my, concern about how it didn't tell the story of our school and district. And they indicated they heard me, and they, would take that feedback into consideration for the next time they do this. I think that, our population, our size of the school is small, given the square footage, and our class sizes are not, what they consider to be crowded to the point that we're having to do things like we didn't get any points for overcrowding, in that we got some points for overcrowding, but in another area we got none for things like we don't have any temporary buildings, for example, that we're having to use. We don't have classes. We don't have to have an extended school day, or schedules that are kind of staggered to accommodate overcrowding. We got 1 of 5 points and classes scheduled in unsuitable areas. So, there are schools that, like the top school on the list hasn't been in their building for a couple of years because a tree fell on it. They can't use it. I mean, that's just an example of that school wasn't on the radar 7 years ago, and now it's the top of the list just because of a kind of natural disaster that the community can't deal with it. They're number 1 on the list now. The other thing that I think works against us is we haven't applied since the early 2000s. When you don't apply, you're not able to claim, like, you're not able to be held harmless for any updates you do to that building. Now, we've been very careful to try to not do too much to the middle school since we had our facility study in 2017. But there are some aspects of the middle school that benefited from our big project. And some roof things that we just had to do, we could not put off. That, because we didn't have an active application in, we are not held harmless for those updates. Now, this point forward, anything that we do from the time we submitted this application back late last summer forward will be held harmless for those. So, for example, if we, this summer, we're replacing doors and adding some access controls to the middle school. They told us that we have to just keep records of what projects we're doing and when, to be able to report that to them in their subsequent application to not be rated lower because of those investments that we're putting into the school. I feel the other message that I came away from that meeting with the Department of Education that was really emphasized by them. I've talked some about the committee that the governor established to study school construction in the state of Maine and recommend changes to how it's funded and how, they're allocating or meeting the needs of the state in that regard. The Scott Brown, who leads the facilities division at DOE, said that he is anticipating some pretty major changes that will come out of that process. That the study committee was supposed to report this last session, but they needed more time. So they're supposed to have the report ready this next year for the next year's session. One of the things he said is he anticipates changes like potentially interim funding opportunity that's somewhere in between your state revolving renovation fund of $2 million every 5 years that's cost shared and the $100 million new school. Like, to have something in between there if you want to do more significant renovation but really need help to get that done. He anticipates something in that of that nature, and he also anticipates more cost sharing for the whole school construction program with whatever is, reimagined moving forward. So I think that helps a district like ours who's willing to invest and have some skin in the game with upgrades. And it will probably deter some districts who are going for the you pay for everything option that the department currently offers. So, Brian and I have talked about, so what does this mean for where we are? And, I don't think we have to decide tonight what this means, but I think I would like to see what happens with the study committee and what new options may be, or how the school construction program might be changed and what opportunities that might give us to apply for maybe different types of programs. And also I think applying for SREP, because they've increased that to 2 million, the middle school, it's been 5 years since we did the small project we did there with SREP, so we can apply for up to $2 million of SREP projects. And we've started that process right now to apply for the things that are most fundable through SREP. We'll get the highest priority are indoor air quality projects, ADA projects, structural projects, and safety projects. And we feel like we have strong rationale for at least 3 of those, but we just put out an RFP this week to engage the services of an architect engineering firm to help us with that. Look at structural, because one thing I also heard them say when I was down in Augusta is, if you're applying for something like structural or indoor air quality, it really helps your case to have engineers, doing tests and certifying the needing for these things. So we plan on bringing forward some SREP applications for the school. And then, we'll evaluate once more is known about the school construction program as to how it might be reconfigured to determine what the best next step for us is. Obviously, if something is urgent, we're going to address it. And now that we have a school construction application in, we'll be held harmless for anything that we do in the middle school. So that's kind of the high level summary of what I know. And I think we have to wait a little while to determine if we really need to rethink our strategy at the middle school beyond applying for SREP right now. So that's what I think we should do. And Brian and I have had more conversation about this. Would you add anything, Brian, based on our conversations we were thinking?
No, I agree with everything you said. I think looking at this scoring sheet was pretty sobering for me. So much of it is a function of not being overcrowded. Basically, you have to be overcrowded and have a building that's falling apart to score. And I don't think I completely processed the overcrowded part. I thought it was more based just on the building falling apart. And on that front, with a 100-year-old building, I thought we would be competitive, but we're not among the most crowded middle schools out there. And that's actually the majority of the points in the system. We got, I think it was 37 out of 110 points on the program space and function. And even in the facilities area, sites and grounds is a piece, and that's kind of benefiting from all the work, both the whole campus. So in the current system, I think the odds that we're gonna score in the money is probably close to 0. But I think the hold harmless is a big thing, right? Which means we need to keep applying. I think we should wait and see what the next program iteration comes out. Meredith and I've had this conversation. She's taking the energy from the people at DOE who are optimistic that they're going to do something better. I'm taking the conversations with the legislature about how tight budgets are and thinking they're not going to do anything better. I mean, the state is deeply underinvested in school construction for a long time. The wealth that they have is so huge. So I'm more pessimistic that I think it's going to come back mostly on Orono. Although I do think this, partial funding, we don't know what it is, but let's say the district has to kick in 20%. That's going to take a bunch of districts out. That might play in our favor, but so we have to wait and see. In the meantime, we have hold harmless. We can start with SRF projects, which are, we do have a matching on SRF, so those are not 45%, I think, for this district. So those are not free, but and then we just have to see what comes out in the program. I personally think it might be worth spending a little bit of money over and above the SRF, just get an assessment of the core long-term lifespan of that building. When are we going to have to replace the electricity in the walls? When are we going to have to replace the plumbing in the walls? And just get a little bit of a life cycle assessment. Right, the idea, and then if that overall looks good, we may just whether it's allocating more of the 500,000 we currently have allocated for maintenance or putting some more in, we may just have to start doing things piecemeal. But I think we need to start with SRF. We need to see what happens with this new program. And I do think some sort of a life cycle analysis on our current building on top of the SRF, like if that Proctor makes sense. And And then, you know, we've got a couple of years probably before those pieces come together to see what's next, but we'll, with a hold harmless, we can at least get started on doing things at the middle school. Other thoughts? Not good news, right? Not what we were necessarily thinking, or I didn't either. And I don't think the architect who told us, you know, helped us come up with a strategy with middle school on the side expected that either, but, yeah, that's actually the points.
They do understand that if you have more space, that's shitty, it costs more to fix it.
I can't hear you. Yeah,
More space that's crappy, it costs more to fix.
yeah, that's true.
They're not gonna come up with another plan. So, I mean, I'm with Brian on that, I'm probably more pessimistic than he is. What are they gonna fund, 6 or 7 of these?
This cycle it was lower because of COVID, I think. But he said it's actually deceiving because there are a number of schools below that actually were consolidated with schools above. He claimed their work in the last cycle, addressed around 30% of the list.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, when I looked, it might be more like 15 to 20.
That's,
But the problem is each year, and this is the pessimistic side of me, each year the list is growing. I think 2 cycles ago, the list was maybe 50 long. Last time it had 70, this time it has 95,
how many years in between cycles?
7 or 8.
We're never gonna.
But, you know, I think everyone recognizes this is broken and hopefully something comes of this. That's what's taking the committee longer because they're trying to research what's working in other states to present some, you know, options in terms of how other states are funding. But we'll see. I hear you and I
mean, the only way this
likely right.
gets funded is if there's a, you know, citizen petition referendum to create some new tax of some type, you know. What's that?
That's not happening.
I don't know, Mainers might vote for schools, but, anyway, yeah, it's way down the road if it happens.
I agree, we need to keep applying, you know, we have 0 chance for success, we need to keep applying, I like your idea of a core assessment. So we have a real idea of what we're looking at. I'm probably more pessimistic than you are that we're gonna be able to cover this on the states down, so we have to, once we do these other things. I think we need to have a serious conversation about how are we gonna actually. Because I mean, as for extra, we should apply for it, David. It's not a free lunch, we're paying for roughly half of that, but that's gonna chip away, that's not gonna address the longer term issue, so.
Yep. And it's a terrible time for bonds, not to mention, I don't think this town wants another bond, so. Yeah. I mean, the other thing that did kind of come out is that they definitely favor consolidations. There's some separate programs, there's a 9 through 16, which is basically high school and university collaborations that that's a whole nother fund that they have. I think it's 100 million or something in that right now. Right, so, but I don't know that the town has a big appetite for consolidation either. I think, Mark, you and I had just moved here, but after the last time, you did too, yeah. So, yeah, I don't think there are really obvious ones out there, but we don't have to make a decision, but conversation. I think we need to start with the reality about where we're at on this. Anything else anybody wants to add or ask? Okay, go ahead. Next, I don't think there's any co-curricular nominations myself. So we have hiring recommendations. First up is OHS assistant principal. I would make a motion to go into executive session under 1 MRSA 4056A, appointment of personnel. Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? We'll go ahead and vote. Noah,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Jake,
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
I also vote aye. We'll go into executive session.
Kevin, and no, I sent you an executive session Google Meet link.
Okay.
We're gonna go across the hall to Mr. Webster.
So we need to avoid it. They're the ones that told us, oh, no problem, I have, no problem. And we, okay, now we're good.
Well, even that's more complicated than that, because when we started with PDT. The principal, was in the head, ended up by her. He would get hired as a consultant, I always put her application together. So All right, I see Kevin, why don't we go ahead? So next up is the music band teacher, grade music band teacher, grade 312. I would make motion to go into executive session under 1 MRSA 4056A, appointment of personnel. Is there a second? A second. Any discussion? We'll go ahead and vote. Kevin?
Okay.
Jake?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
I also vote aye. Motion carries. We'll go into executive session. to go.
Yeah.
Meredith, do you have a recommendation for the music band teacher position?
Hang on. Just trying to get,
Everything.
You, Mike, there we go.
Yes, I nominate Nathan Springers for the 1-year band music teacher for RSU 26.
I would make a motion to authorize superintendent to enter into a contract with Nathan Sprangers for the 1-year position of music band teacher. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Go ahead, vote. Kevin?
Aye.
Jake?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Also vote aye. Motion is approved, 4-0. Meredith, do you have a nomination for school position?
Yes, thankfully Diane Breen, Callan Breen is willing to continue, so nominate Dr. Breen to continue.
I would make a motion to appoint Dr. Breen as school, Diane Callan Breen as school position. Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? And then vote, Kevin?
Aye.
Jake?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Also vote aye. Don't think we have any subcommittee reports. Anybody want to report on a subcommittee? None of them have been meeting as far as I know, so. No updates there. Any other business?
Not necessarily other business, I guess, but I probably should put this in the acknowledgements, but it sounds like Friends of Orono Athletics, which has done a great job of raising money for a variety of causes here at the school, most prominently the Let's in the soccer field has a fundraiser going on at the Orono RGA remainder of this month. For shop there, you'll give them an option of rounding up your total to make a donation to the group, which they will then use to fund various things at the school. So I think that's great, and I would encourage people, if they are so inclined, to take advantage of it.
Great. Any future agenda items? Floor is open for public comment. Seeing no public comment, I believe we have a few things. We have a regularly scheduled meeting for the 19th, but Meredith and I had already been discussing. We will need a meeting on the probably 26th to approve a contract for the architect for the SRF, just because of timing. The application's due in October and we have to have a 2-week window of advertising. So there's a choice between a regular meeting on the 19th and a very short meeting on the 26th, or just having a regular meeting on the 26th, which is the day before school starts. I don't have a strong preference. But we thought I would check with people, see if they had preferences.
Guess I don't care all that much. I mean, I don't know, do you get?
I don't care.
Good principles that have to show up there.
On the 26th,
26th, it's
so that's the night of the soccer.
Was that the night of soccer?
Yeah, so I was gonna try to build it right.
Oh, yeah.
But,
yeah.
because I remember, at least I'm pretty sure that is.
Want to just have the short meeting?
Yeah, so maybe you have the short meeting.
Short meeting on the 26th.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could explore, 5 o'clock or something is the time.
That's all we have to do for that.
Yeah.
What time is that? Can you remember? Serious point.
No, let me see if it's on.
It's 6:30 is the light ceremony, so maybe we can have a
5 or 5:30.
5:30 meeting. Does that help? 5:30?
Yeah. So, okay, so we will have a meeting, regular scheduled meeting on the 19th. We will have a 5:30 PM on Tuesday, the 26th. And that really should hopefully be 15 minutes. And we just decided we need to schedule a meeting for Friday. Kevin said he's flexible. I'm flexible. Mark, Jake.
Yep, earlier the better.
Earlier, I can do pretty much anything, so whatever.
Earlier is better.
So any day and then it's fine. What's later for you? 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock?
No, it's fine.
Okay. So we're doing, I just want to make sure I have, we're 8 AM this Friday.
8 AM on Friday.
Does that work for you, Sam?
Yeah, and so these fans are so loud.
Yeah,
It's
sorry.
8 AM.
8 AM Friday tonight.
Kevin, are good for you?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, and then we still have this 19th and then we have the 26th,
And then you said 5:30 on.
5:30 on the 26th.
How about
Is it 5:30?
5:30 on the 26th.
of August?
Yep.
For a very short meeting.
Although, who knows, there could be another teacher that.
Well, I think
Teacher in
we
the
have our
queue.
special ed teacher by the meeting on the 19th.
Okay,
You do.
okay. All right, any requests for information or follow-up? I would motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Kevin?
Aye.
Jake?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Also vote aye. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
We're working that Friday morning. We do it